Hello, let us continue our discussion on the Whitsun weddings by Philip Larkin. In my last lecture, I have mentioned something about Philip Larkin, how so far Philip Larkin is important in the history of English literature, and how Philip Larkin's pattern of poetry can be related with the poetry of the movement. Now let us continue our discussion on the particular poem, word by word, line by line. You see that the particular term Whitsun, this is associated with the typical form of Christianity. Why? Because Whitsun is considered to be the seventh Sunday after Easter. You have heard about Easter, there is Easter Saturday and Easter Sunday and so on. And ultimately, you will find that Whitsun, this particular day, it is considered to be the seventh Sunday after Easter. So from that particular point of view, we can find that this particular day is generally being considered to be a particular, auspicious day regarding marriage. You see that, so what happens, that in London and in Hull and around London, there are ample references where during this particular day, that is Whitsun day, the ample amount of marriages are generally being taken place. In this particular poem, you will find the same thing there. As I've mentioned that while going through this particular poem, you will find that the typical stanzaic pattern of Whitsun weddings, it is in AB, CDE, CDE format. That is AB, CDE, CDE format. And you will find that the same pattern of writing or same stanzaic pattern was used by John Keats in his odes. So if the question arises, a question comes, that which particular poem in your syllabus from the modern period it actually resembles the particular pattern of writing or stanzaic pattern that were used by John Keats, and it will be surely the Whitsun weddings. Now what happened, that as I have mentioned earlier, that during this particular journey, that it is a kind of a journey, that is a train journey, you will find that somehow it is not simply referring to a normal kind of a journey, rather it will find the particular kind of a journey that have been reciprocated in terms of the poet, that is Philip Larkin, that is his journey of life. Now what happens, in the first 1 to 10 lines, notice the realistic detail of the description. Okay, the speaker is leaving Hull, which is separated from Lincolnshire by the river Humber. Okay, so these are some of the geographical references that you will find, you will trace in this particular poem. Now let us go with the particular poem itself. He writes that Whitsun, I was late getting away. So ultimately you will find that this particular reference to Whitsun, it is not referring to the Sunday rather. Okay, it is a kind of a reference to the Christian perspectives that have been taken in consideration. Here, why? Because the particular journey was committed on Saturday. Okay, so in the very second line, you will find that the Saturday has been incorporated here. So therefore, you will find that Philip Larkin is writing that Whitsun, I was late getting away. Not till about 1:20 on the sunlit Saturday did my 3/4 empty train pull out. So obviously, this particular reference is being taken to describe a particular kind of a journey that is going to be taken place. Here you will find the time, and certainly it is indicating towards the noon. It was a sunlit Saturday, so ultimately you will find there are ample references of some hot and humid temperament or hot and humid climatic references. And then he writes, did my 3/4 empty train pull out? So this particular kind of 3/4 empty train, why? Because actually it is some descriptive notion that Philip Larkin is working on, and you will find that somehow that just because of the Saturday, just because of a kind of festival that is awaiting for them, so therefore ultimately the people were not present enough. But fundamentally, as I mentioned earlier, that this particular journey is not simply a kind of a train journey. Rather, you will find that it is the journey of life, according to Philip Larkin. So ultimately, we can refer to these kinds of descriptions with the life of Philip Larkin altogether. And this 3/4 empty, that particular reference can also be classified in terms of the typical form of life leading that Philip Larkin was in. Okay, that is companionless, and ultimately you know that whenever you will go with the biography of Philip Larkin, ultimately you will find that he remained a lifelong bachelor. Okay, so fundamentally what I'm trying to suggest here, that you will find that regarding marriage there are some kind of cynical temperament of Philip Larkin that have to be pointed out in this particular poem. His typical form of cynicism is obviously a matter of great interest in this particular poem. But towards the end of the poem, we will find that the temperament of the poet is got certainly changed. So that is the fundamental focus of this poem. It is one of the important focuses that we will discuss on throughout this particular poem. So he writes that not till about 1:20 on the Sunday Saturday did my 3/4 empty train pull out. And then he continues, all windows down, all cushions hot, all sense of being in a hurry gone. So ultimately, as I mentioned, that this is a kind of a journey that is being taken place, and you will find that the descriptive notions of this poet, it actually gives us the basic impressions of to some extent, first-hand experience, as if we are committing this journey along with Philip Larkin. And he writes that all windows are down, all cushions are hot. It is probably just because it is the hot Saturday noon, so therefore the cushions are hot, or maybe it can be also classified as the people, that means the persons who actually sat there, they just went out of the train, and then when the journey is being taken place, the cushions remains hot, as if something was there, but now it is not there. But the literal meaning is actually indicating towards the climatic situation, the temperature, the certain kind of temperature that is there. And along with that, the climatic situations are actually indicated in terms of the cushions hot, and also the windows are down, you see. So he writes, all windows are down, all cushions hot, all sense of being in a hurry gun. Why this particular kind of a hurry gun is there? Is it actually referring to the particular kind of, that when you were committing a journey, and when you were just looking out through the window, and ultimately you will find that the sense of being in a hurry gun, that is the relative movement, is being indicated here. But at the same time, we have to keep it in mind that if it is referring to the journey of life, then this harigan, is it actually referring to the persons who came to the life of this person, that is the poet, and at the same time they went from their life? So ultimately, this is also being indicated in this particular harigan. We ran behind the backs of the houses. Now what happens, that when in the particular scenario, see that when the train takes its speed, and when you are in a typical kind of cityscapes, you see, and while you will find that just beside you, that means beside the railway lines, there are the houses, the jam-packed houses. Then what happens, that you feel that the train that is it is actually taking good speed. Why? Because the movement becomes much more fast, you see. It gets faster. We ran behind the backs of the houses, crossed a street of blinding windscreens, smelled the fish dock. What happens? These are the descriptions of the cityscapes, as I mentioned just now. The backs of the houses, crossed a street of blinding windscreens. What does it mean, blinding windscreens? You will find that somehow what happens, that the windscreens, and there the sunlight is being reflected, and it seems to be blinding. Okay, the dazzle is being incorporated here. So the backs of the houses, crossed a street of blinding windscreens, and then the olfactory nerve is in work. The smell of fish dock. Generally, we find that just outside the city, there is a fish dock where you see that the river, the broader river, or maybe the seas or oceans actually meet. And then it writes, we ran behind the backs of the houses, we crossed a street of blinding windscreens, and smelled the fish dock. So all kind of things are there, The olfactory nerves are working, the visible forms are there, you see. And then what happens, the river's level drifted bread began, where Skye and Lincolnshire and water meet. Certainly what happens, that from the city, okay, just because it is Hull to London, so you will find that from Hull, the train is taking speed, and then it enters into the landscaping details. And you will find that the reverse level drifting breath began. So ultimately here you will find that in this particular line and also in the next line, there are ample usages of the prolonged vowel sounds. Why? Just because Philip Larkin is trying to make the poetry a bit slowed down, you see. Okay, the prolonged vowel sounds, it actually gives you some time. Okay, and this particular time can be classified in terms of the journey. So it is the technical part, it is the structural perspectives. Okay, with the help of the phonological references, that is the sound level references, Philip Larkin is just making a slowed down the rhythm, the pace of this reading of this particular poem. And certainly you will find what happens, that from the cities, when you enter into the landscape, it seems as if the speed of the train is being gone down. And that particular impetus, that particular feeling has to be found, has to be related with this particular structural aspects of this particular poem here. He writes, and at the same time you will find some alterations being incorporated. The reverse level drifting breath began. So what happens, that what seems to be just like a drain, almost like a drain in the cities, when you enter into a particular countryside, then you will find that particular drain, or maybe a kind of a sewage canal, it becomes a river. So that's why the drifting breath began. And this is a particular place where you can find that your eyes can look towards the at far, at a distant level. And this is the place where the sky and Lincolnshire is visible from that particular place at a distance, obviously. So where the sky and Lincolnshire and water meet. So that is the fundamental description. See, the descriptive notion of this particular poem actually makes you feel the speed of the train. You can find the journey. You can find the differences, obviously. The differences from a kind of a cityscape to a landscape. Okay, the landscape, so far as landscape is concerned, I'm actually referring to the rural backdrop, obviously. And then you will find that some eye-arresting devices have been incorporated in this particular section. As I mentioned, that along with the journey, the subject of the poem also goes to the poet's observation, which is of the various wedding parties. This will be found in the next section, that is next few sections. And they will be boarded at a train at different stations. And we begin with a remarkable recreation of the sensations of traveling by train on a summer day, that is here. The heat, the relief after the rush to catch the train, the snapshot details viewed through the carriage window, and the town gives way to countryside. Larkin's description accurately captures the speaker's mechanical registration of fleeting details. The details are fleeting. The backs of the houses are there, the streets with the blinding windscreens are there, the smell of the fish stocks are there, all flash by too quickly to engage anything more than a vague interest. Until we see the river's estuary, when the poem's rhythm slows and catch the sensation of amplitude and tranquility. That very formation of tranquility is being achieved with this particular reference to sky and Lincolnshire and water meet. Okay, so we will continue in our next lecture. Thank you.